Hello, and welcome to A Sunny Book Nook. My name is Sunny, and I am today going to be bringing to you a list of books that I want to recommend based off of Taylor Swift songs that I think really could be associated with them for reasons that I will explain during my recommendation, and books that are underrated paired with simultaneously underrated Taylor Swift songs. So it's like a complicated sort of concept for a video, but if you catch my drift, if you see the vision, then like you see it, you know what I mean? And of course all of these books are going to be sapphic and queer lesbian books. And of course all of the songs that I'm pairing with them I think are going to relay those themes in a really interesting way. That is why I've paired them together in the way that I have in these recommendations, because obviously like Taylor Swift is a major superstar and I love her music a lot. And in recent events, during her Midnight's Mayhem situation, it has caused some mayhem in the GAYLOR community, which is, I would say I am one of the foremost people in that community, incidentally, due to the fact that me and my podcast co-host, like so much of our podcast and our content on the Lavender Menace, since the very conception of it, has been talking about the queer themes in Taylor Swift's music and the lesbian continuum and the way that it all relates to the text and like how her work and public persona sort of exists within the context of lesbian literature. All of that we've been talking about for like almost 2 years online in a very vocal way and in a very visible way as well, with just on various social media platforms. And because of that, I think we've also contributed to an amassing more people in the GAYLOR community, which, if you're unfamiliar with, is just basically people who see queer themes in her music and speculate that Taylor Swift is queer, or like see queerness in Taylor Swift as a person through her music and through the things that we know about her publicly. And yeah, but anyways, so I'm not here to argue with you about that, because that's something that has been gone over many times, and recent events have caused a lot of, again, like I said, mayhem, especially because she announced that the first track on her album is called Lavender Haze, and like that has caused the global socio-political implications of that must be discussed. And if you want to listen to me and my podcast co-host talk about that more extensively, you can listen to our episode about it, or you can watch us talk about it on our Patreon, where we have like all of our episodes uploaded in video format for the $5 and above tier. But anyway, so yeah, that's just been on my mind a lot lately, and because of that, I was like listening to my GAYLOR playlist, which is like a 100 song playlist that I keep at 100 songs, and I sort of switch up the order of depending on my given like vibe at any point. And I try to alternate albums and keep it mixed up in terms of the actual order, but also keep it continuous thematically and sonically, so that it's not whiplash when you're listening from song to song. So I try to do that, but as I was listening to it, I was like, we all know like her hype songs and stuff, and even some of her singles, are just not as listened to or well regarded or understood as like the Taylor Swift songs, even within the Swiftie fandom or whatever. And so, I was also looking through, my books and stuff, and I was like, wow, there's just, when I was reading this, I was like, this is so this song coded or whatever, or I was thinking about like the song while I was listening to it, and I'm like, wow, this really reminds me of this book, which is why I wanted to bring to you this recommendation video. And it just so happened that all the books that I was thinking about were like queer and sapphic books. I wonder why. That is sort of the gist, this long introduction to the video. But yeah, if you do want to learn more about all this stuff, if you're not a Swiftie, or, I mean, why would you watch this video? I don't really know. But if you're, like, not into GAYLOR or whatever, I don't know, I'm sorry. Please don't comment mean things. I promise you I've seen them before. Anything you could possibly say in reaction to. Yeah, I've seen it. And also, if you're willing to hear more and stuff, of course, I always link my podcast in the description of all of my videos where, you know, we discuss sort of critical media consumption through the lens of the lesbian gaze. If you want to check that out, you can. We have a lot of different episodes dedicated to unpacking GAYLOR. And yeah, anyways, so to get into my list of recommendations, the first song I want to talk about, I think I'm gonna go song book instead of book and then song. Also, like, all of these songs are so gay, which it, you know, doesn't really help with the whole reason why all of the books I'm recommending alongside them are also so gay. But I'll unpack those themes when I'm explaining the recommendations, but I also think, like, because they're so lesbianic thematically as songs and obvious, that's also why they're so, like, underrated. I don't know, like, there's something there. There's something there, you know? So the song I want to talk about is Carolina, which was used in the adaptation for Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I think, and I refused to read that book because the author has a whole situation going on there that is a little suspicious, because I think, like, she killed people in Zimbabwe or something. I don't really know the details on that. I'm sure if you look it up, there's a lot of articles about it. Of course, Taylor, having, you know, worked with this movie and having written the song, or, like, having put the song for it, is interesting and questionable as an artistic decision. But, you know, whatever. She also, I think, made it clear in her post describing having written Carolina that she had written it prior to knowing that it was going to be put in this movie, or she didn't write it for the purpose of this movie, I suppose, is what at least I gleaned from her Instagram post talking about it. When it dropped, I remember me and Renaissance were both in my hometown, St. Louis, when it came out, and we were both, like, high as fuck listening to this on repeat, just, like, losing our fucking minds. And to this day, I still love this song, and I do think it's incredibly underrated and not as talked about, but I think, like, GAYLORs do sort of talk about it because it's so queer coded. There are things that only Carolina knows. She's in my dreams on the dress she left, and that I was guilty as sin and sleep in a liar's bed. We did a whole episode on Carolina, which we recorded pretty soon after the song dropped. The fact that she ends the song with, like, it's between me, the sand, and the sea, Carolina knows. It's like this theme of a secret, and it's like a woman, it's like she knows, and it's like the secret between her and a woman almost. It's like, whoa. And there's this feeling of, like, in ambiance and legacy that's so tied to the sea and these back roads and this, like, a country. There's this environmental anxiety looming in this song that is so tied to secrets of the past and anxieties of, like, the self and your relationships, which is why I think that the book that it really reminded me of, and the book and song pairing that made me want to make this video, was How Strange a Season by Megan Mayhew Bergman, I think, yeah, is her name. And this book is a short story collection. I talked about it in my most recent monthly wrap-up, and I really love the short story collection and the way that it explored themes of American legacies and grappling with the past of your family, and also environmental and climate, like, collapse in one's day-to-day life, in how it plays out in people's relationships, and also these secret relationships, almost these hidden affairs, and this spited woman, and there's like so many themes in some of these short stories, especially the last one, that really makes me think of Mad Woman, illicit affairs, very like folklore coded, but Carolina as a song really I think embodies a lot of these stories in a lot of ways because of that like sea imagery and this like secret you're keeping and mist in the clouds and the dreams. Like it's just so wow. Like, and there's also one of the short stories in here, at least one of them features this lesbian relationship that is about one of them leaving to go to the ocean and go by the seaside. Also that sort of small town or the ignorance or the backwardness of what is understood as the American rural, like countryside or south, or you know, that type of stuff. I think we see in the imagery and context within Carolina as a song, and of course in a lot of Swift's work. But I think these two, this song Carolina and How Strange a Season, I was really, after reading this book and really, you know, listening to the song, I was like, wow, I really do think these have some really interesting connections here that I find so fascinating. The next song I want to talk about is Ivy, which is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. It is so beautiful and rich. I've made so many art projects based on it. Actually, that painting back there, and I have a 3D piece on my shelf over there. I have another painting. Like, it's just such a special song to me. It's obviously about an affair between, at least in my mind, it's like about an affair between two women, and one of them is married, and it's like he's gonna burn this house to the ground, and he's gonna burn this house to the ground makes me think and leads me to this book recommendation, which is Like a House on Fire by Lauren McBrayer. This book is about these two middle-aged women who are both married at the beginning of the book, and their relationship to each other as they become close co-workers and then friends and then more. The tension that is built and described throughout this book kind of parallels the fear and the hope of Ivy, and also that imagery of like he's gonna burn this house to the ground, and of course like a house on fire. There's so much imagery of like, you know, your house of stone, my ivy grows and now I'm covered in you. That being like the chorus is so interesting because the thing about these two women in Like a House on Fire is that they're both architects, and that's how they meet each other. That pre-chorus, like, my pain fits in the palm of your freezing hand, taking mine, but it's been promised to another. That really, I think, encapsulates a relationship between these two women because they share so much of their pain with each other in a way that they can't or don't really share with other people in their lives, and it's what really brings them close together and structures their relationship and intimacy. And they really have to like hide away and find their secret moments together in the midst of this tension and like danger of their already constructed lives around them. And it's just it's like, I think Ivy and this book are ultimately stories about the love between two people who are not supposed to be in love and are like, you know, are married to men and have their own situations going on. And it's like, oh my god, the fucking fridge started buzzing again. Spring breaks loose, but so does fear. He's gonna burn this house to the ground. Like, wow. Because this book, Like a House on Fire, goes across so many different years, and it goes across a lot of time, I think, in looking through their relationship and so many of the different things that these women have to go through, and understanding their past and like the trauma and what has led them to this point in their lives, I guess. I think like this is a good song book pairing association. And of course, well, Like a House on Fire is, I think, a pretty underrated book. I haven't heard that many people talk about it. Oh, and of course, How Strange a Season. I haven't really heard that many people talk about it either. And so yeah, it's all underrated books. It's underrated books, underrated songs, you know. Anyway, so the next song I want to talk about is Wonderland, which is a bonus track off of 1989, and it's, I think, one of her gayest songs, one of her most explicit songs, that talks about one of her girl exes, and it's so obvious that everyone knows. So Wonderland is, I think, very much a song that deals with being in the public eye and having moments of fun and freedom and recklessness, but also like not being able to maintain it because it's just not possible. Like, we found Wonderland, you and I got lost in it, we pretended that it could last forever, is the chorus. That really reminds me of the book The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkoski, which I think it's fairly underrated for being a sapphic YA fantasy, and I did a full-length review and breakdown of this book, which you can watch if you would like. And in this book, we're following this girl who is from like the slums of this fantasy world, who gets taken up and swept up by this beautiful butch princess who like comes into town and takes her and brings her into the upper crust of society, and they go to these beautiful balls and they dance together and they do all these things together. But at the same time, our main character is caught in this bind because she has a ostensibly pre-existing relationship with this dude from her hometown, and she can't really be they can't really be gay, like that's not like a thing, obviously, and her being in the public eye with this foreign princess is something very, well, is she a foreign princess? No, she's just like a foreigner who's like rich, I think Wonderland as a song really captures the relationship between the two main characters in The Midnight Lie so well, because in Wonderland, the opening verse, right, like flashing lights and we took a wrong turn and we fell down a rabbit hole, you held on tight to me because nothing's as it seems, and spinning out of control really, really reminds me of their whole dynamic of, going into the upper quarters, I forgot what they're called, like the high quarters, and all of this crazy shit happening, and it's like spinning out of their control, and they fell down a rabbit hole, they're holding tight to each other. Like, it really, I think, sort of captures how Nira, our main character, feels when she's getting introduced to a society and a world that she's never previously encountered with this woman who has like swept her off her feet essentially. And in the pre-chorus where it's like, didn't it all seem so new and exciting? Like, I felt your arms twisting around me, I should have slept with one eye open at night. Like, what, there are some scenes in The Midnight Lie that I'm like, literally. If you've read it, I feel like you know what I mean. And life was never worse, but it was never better. Like, that so much is, I think, what defines the relationship between Niram and the love interest in their like escapades and the things that they get up to, because Niram is discovering these like the dark underbelly of her city while also having these beautiful experiences. And so, it was never worse, but it was never better. And especially, there were strangers watching, and whispers turned to talking, and talking turned to screams, like that. So we went on our way to In Love to Think Straight, all alone, or so it seemed. Like, those themes of like, again, being watched and trying to go about, I think it's so Niram coded. I'm forgetting the love interest's name, but it's just, I feel like the song is such an embodiment of the relationship in The Midnight Lie. Like, okay, sorry if the last clip, the audio stopped recording and cut out for some fucking reason, but anyways, the next song pairing and book I want to talk about is Dress, which is arguably like one of her gayest songs. It's just so gay. Like, I don't want you like a best friend. No woman has ever said that to a man in her fucking life. Like, I'm not convinced. Only bought this dress so you could take it off, being the chorus. Anyway, so the book that I want to recommend in relationship to Dress is Your Name in the Sky by Kelly Quindlen, which is a young adult contemporary sapphic romance following these two best friends who go to a Catholic high school in Georgia, I believe, and they are both pretty popular. I think one of them is like the class vice president or something. I think we're in the perspective of the main character who is in the friend group but isn't the popular one. She's like in love with the girl who is, I think, is the president or whatever. Their relationship is so fraught because of their homophobic environment and this tension of this mutual desire but not being able to be open about it, right? It's a secret. Our secret moments in a crowded room, they got no idea about me and you. Like, it's literally them, because they're like at these parties together, like they go to school together, like no one knows about their relationship because they can't. If they're outed, like it's not good, you know. But I just think that also, again, that really important line, like, I don't want you like a best friend. Pining and anticipation. My hands are shaking from holding back from you. Like, that is so much what defines these two girls' relationship to each other, because they are holding back from each other, but they are like so in love with each other. And it's like this tense, almost like erotic sort of desire that is repressed due to the nature of their environment, which is what I think Dress is about as a song, right? And having all eyes on you, and that limiting your relationship, but also still being in love and still being obsessed with each other. And it's so sad, but it's so lovely. And I think Your Name in the Sky is such a sad but lovely book for the same reasons, thematically, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. I also think like there's something kind of funnily, hilariously PG-13 about Dress as a song. And obviously this is a young adult book, so there's like that connection as well, I would say. All the silence and patience, pining and desperately waiting. Like the pining, the patience, the desperately waiting is so their relationship. Oh my god. And it's like inescapable. I'm not even gonna try. If I get burned, at least we were electrified. Like, as a second verse, oh my god. And again, like, Your Name in the Sky, in the chorus when she says, say my name and everything just stops. I don't want you like a best friend. Oh. Only bought this dress so you could take it off. And it's just like both of these girls, because they're confined by the nature of their environment, they're like, you know, they're your typical like feminine, pretty, suburban, good southern girls, but they're still gay for each other. Come on. Carve your name into my bedpost. That emphasis on name is really, for me, solidifies the connection between this song and this book, because the title of the book is Your Name in the Sky. So, you know, I rest my case. Okay, so the next songbook pairing I want to talk about is The Archer, which I know is a single off of Lover, but I still think is very underrated because people don't really get how tragic and beautiful this song is. Because it very much is about Taylor as like a writer and as a person and as a figure, right? Where it's like, you know, all of my heroes die all alone. Help me hold on to you. And it's just so tragic, right? Like, I wake in the night, I pace like a ghost, the room is on fire, invisible smoke. Like, wow. All of my enemies started out friends? It's so... Oh, chills. Literally, I got chills. Who got chills? The book I want to recommend in conjunction with this is Suture by Nic Brewer, which I also talked about in my most recent wrap-up, because this book is about like the literal physical bodily removal required in making art. And there's one particular relationship in this, or two relationships, I would say, in this book, because I think we're following 3 main perspectives, one of a visual artist, one of a filmmaker, and one of a writer. And the filmmaker is in this lesbian long-term relationship, and it's about these 2 women who care so deeply about each other, and the filmmaking is destroying the body and eyesight, the physical eyeballs of the filmmaker, and it's shaping their relationship. But then the writer is having this relationship with this man who is an agent for other writers, and she keeps pushing him away, but she doesn't want him to leave because she knows he's so good, but she keeps not wanting him because, you know, I've been the archer, I've been the prey, who could ever leave me, darling, but who could stay, right? Like, again, so, like, help me hold on to you. They see right through me. They see right through me. Do you see right through me? That is so much what defines this writer's work in Suture, because she is so obsessed with how her work is being received. She stays up late looking at reviews from other people. She is so concerned with her image and her public eye, and it's destroying her relationship with the person who loves her. She doesn't think that she deserves him, but he is doing everything he can to keep her, but she is like, it's, the song just says it, right? She's desperately crying, like, help me hold on to you. And I think that also defines the relationship that the lesbian filmmaker has with, like, her wife, and it's so beautiful and tragic. Sad, beautiful, tragic, but it's also, like, I think there's something very gruesome and dark about The Archer as a song, and the book Suture is a very body horror-like book. Like, the filmmaker literally takes her eyeballs out of her eyes and puts them inside of her camera to make them, because that's, in this world, that's how it works. The visual artist, like, you use your actual body, and, like, you remove a rib from your rib cage as your art. Like, you use your blood to write. And I think, like, Taylor has so much, and also in The Archer, which is such a vulnerable song, like, is really, she's bearing out, like, her soul, and you putting out her, like, body in this, and it's so beautiful and sad, and about art making and the relationships that you have based off of that, and how they're informed by that position as being the archer. So yeah, I think that's my pairing. My final recommendation is the Reputation song Dancing with Our Hands Tied, which, such a gay song. First of all, like, picture of your face in an invisible locket. People started talking, putting us through our paces. I loved you in spite of deep fears that the world would divide us. I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted. Oh, 'cause it's gravity. Oh, keeping you with me. The book I want to recommend with this song is Reputation by Lex Croucher, which, you know, I didn't plan it to be this way. It just happened to be this way. One of the side relationships in Reputation is a lesbian one that's secret, and I think it's so this. It's so, like, I'm the mess that you wanted. Yeah, because one of the main characters in Reputation is this girl who is known in high society as, like, the bad bitch. And because of that, she's low-key getting played by one of the fuckboys of high society, but she is in real, like, for real, in love with, like, one of her girl best friends who's in the posse. I don't think this is really a spoiler, because it's pretty... I think early on in the book, like, this is thematically really relevant throughout the whole story. My love had been frozen. I think, like, that very much also encapsulates that character who is the other, like, I think main character. The Regina George head mean girl of the group is, I think, embodied through that, because she's, like, such a bad bitch, but she's in love in secret. And I had a bad feeling, but we were dancing. Like, that pre-chorus line is just so... Those are all of the song and book recommendation pairings I have for you. I hope you enjoyed my little Gaylor bookish rants and thoughts and connections that I'm making, and I hope that it made sense to you. And if you haven't heard of these books before, because I think they're all pretty underrated, like, all have less than probably like 10,000 ratings or reviews on Goodreads, probably some of them less than 1,000 even. I hope you enjoyed, but, you know, let me know in the comments what you think, if you have any thoughts. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, hopefully. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, bye!